dormant intelligence that can be unleashed when provoked. Buckle up as we embark on an exploration of the scary reasons why Sigma males are the most dangerous breed. But before we do, make sure you're subscribed to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss another thought-provoking video like this one. Don't be one of those who underestimate the Sigma. They're watching, and they're ready. Let's dive in. 1. They challenge the status quo. In a world dominated by alpha males and conventional norms, Sigma males emerge as unsung heroes, renegades marching to their own drumbeat. Their defiance against the status quo is electrifying, a testament to the power of individuality and the audacity to challenge society's script. Sigma males reject conformity, courageously defying societal norms like rebels in a storm. Their refusal to conform is a breath of fresh air, sweeping through the world. In a room of neatly lined puzzle pieces, Sigma males are the misfit, refusing to fit the pre-existing picture. They are the question mark in a world of exclamation points, the glitch in the matrix. 2. Sigma males tend to keep their emotions and thoughts to themselves, making them appear mysterious and unapproachable. In the enigmatic realm of personalities, a captivating archetype thrives: the Sigma male. They embody strength and silence, crafting an aura of mystery. Picture a figure cloaked in an enigma, a puzzle awaiting unraveling. The Sigma male excels at emotional restraint, concealing innermost thoughts and feelings, as if guarding a treasure chest of emotions from the world. This hallmark makes them an enigma few dare approach. In a world of emotional expression, Sigma males stand out. Their ability to keep emotions hidden can be seen as intimidating, navigating life with an unreadable poker face. But therein lies their allure. Beneath the emotional restraint lies an uncharted world, a tapestry of thoughts and feelings waiting to be unveiled by the determined. 3. Their actions and decisions are not easily deciphered, which can leave others feeling uneasy. Sigma males, enigmatic beings woven into the intricate fabric of humanity, defy convention and cloak themselves in an aura of enigma. They boldly break free from the chains of societal norms, presenting an alluring puzzle for keen observers. Unburdened by conformity, Sigma males become captivating enigmas, masterfully crafting their own life stories. Their inherent unpredictability serves as a magnetic force, as they steadfastly resist the grasp of conformity and steer clear of the dull monotony of routines. Those who watch in fascination struggle to decipher their intentions, often finding only elusive hints. This paradoxical nature stirs both excitement and unease. Interactions with Sigma males are exhilarating yet fraught with uncertainty, resembling a thrilling roller coaster ride into the unknown. 4. They rarely rely on others, which can be seen as a threat to those who value control. In a world that frequently celebrates conformity and collective conduct, the Sigma male stands out as a captivating mystery. Their essence revolves around self-sufficiency, setting them apart in a society that occasionally prioritizes uniformity over individuality. Sigma males possess an exceptional talent for navigating life's obstacles with a blend of self-reliance and inner resilience, personifying the archetype of the lone wolf as they forge a distinctive path through the intricacies of life. What truly sets Sigma males apart is their aversion to relying on external assistance. They shape their destinies, drawing upon their unwavering spirit and capable hands. 5. They won't just follow the herd, and this can challenge the established order. In a world defined by conformity, Sigma males emerge as captivating rebels who boldly defy societal expectations and chart their own unique course. These enigmatic individuals staunchly reject the pull of conformity, refusing to be mere pawns on society's chessboard. In the midst of pervasive groupthink, Sigma males remain resolute in embracing their individuality. Their nonconformity transcends mere quirkiness. It serves as a resounding declaration of independence, challenging the prevailing status quo and igniting curiosity in those around them. Whether within the structured confines of corporate offices or classrooms, they disrupt established norms, catalyzing an environment ripe for change. While some may find this disconcerting, for those who thrive in group settings, Sigma males become catalysts for challenging conventional thinking and initiating important and transformative conversations. 6. Sigma males tend to be resolute in their beliefs and choices. Amidst a world marked by trends and conformity, Sigma males shine as unwavering icons of self-determination. They possess an inner strength that serves as a counterforce against the prevailing winds of peer pressure, bewildering and captivating those who succumb to societal expectations. Sigma males, distinct from the crowd, remain resolute in their convictions and life choices. They seem to possess a unique, unshakable compass, steering through life's challenges without deviation. Their extraordinary ability to resist external influences is truly remarkable. Picture a Sigma male, impervious to popular opinion and the lure of conformity, standing tall like a solitary oak among willows, unwavering and authentic. Their determined character serves as a testament to their unswerving self-belief. 7. Sigma males typically guard their vulnerabilities and personal struggles closely. In the enigmatic realm of Sigma males, a captivating paradox emerges. Strength and vulnerability blend mysteriously, hidden beneath an impenetrable veil. These elusive, stoic individuals possess an uncanny talent for concealing their inner struggles, both intriguing and mystifying those attempting to unveil their mysteries. Sigma males protect their vulnerabilities and personal battles as if safeguarding a hidden treasure trove. Their intricate defenses make breaching emotional fortresses a formidable challenge. In a world thriving on emotional connections, they stand as formidable enigmas, leaving those seeking deeper bonds grappling in their wake. This reluctance to reveal their emotional map can unsettle those valuing emotional intimacy. Sigmas, like unsolved riddles, hint at depth while guarding their innermost layers. They teeter on the edge of vulnerability, yearning to share while preserving themselves. In the labyrinth of Sigma males, it's about understanding the delicacy and patience required to navigate their souls. To connect profoundly demands empathy and respect for their individuality. Ultimately, the allure of unraveling this enigma makes the quest to connect with Sigma males enticing. They are like unread books, and for those with the courage to turn each page, the revelations are captivating. 8. Sigma males tend to approach challenges and risks fearlessly. Within the enigmatic realm of masculinity, the Sigma male emerges as a captivating enigma. With unwavering determination and audacity, they set themselves apart from the crowd, inspiring both curiosity and awe. Picture the Sigma male at the edge of a daunting cliff, fearlessly gazing into the abyss of uncertainty. They're undeterred by the unknown. Instead, it beckons like a siren's call, and they venture forth where others hesitate. This fearlessness is not merely a trait, it's a magnetic force drawing them towards challenges. However, this audacity can leave those favoring a more cautious path quaking in their comfortable boots. The Sigma male's readiness to take risks challenges the status quo. While others contemplate potential pitfalls, the Sigma male has already leaped forward, demonstrating a lack of fear for consequences. Their audacious approach to life showcases resilience, adaptability, and indomitable spirit. The Sigma male embodies the notion that greatness arises from confronting fears, not running from them. They inspire others by unapologetically challenging the status quo and proving that in the face of adversity, the fearless are the ones who truly conquer life's grand adventure. There you have it, folks. The 8 scary reasons why Sigma males are often regarded as the most feared breed. Remember, while these traits can be intimidating, they can also be incredibly valuable. What are your thoughts on Sigma males? Share your opinions in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one.
Greetings, Sigmas. Let me open with a real story, one that doesn't just reveal the Sigma mindset, it defines it. Deep in the icy wilderness of the Russian Far East, where survival favors the ruthless, lived a man named Vladimir Markov, a poacher, a hunter, a man who made one fatal mistake. He shot a Siberian tiger. Wounded, the tiger disappeared into the shadows. Most would think the story ended there, but Sigma creatures don't forget, and they forgive lightly. Over the next 48 hours, this tiger didn't run, didn't hide. It tracked Markov, silently, strategically. Not out of panic, but out of purpose. It waited outside his cabin. It destroyed anything with Markov's scent. It studied his patterns, and when the moment was right, it struck. Markov never stood a chance, not against a creature so calm, so calculating, so quietly lethal. Now pause. Imagine a man with that same presence, that same silence before the storm. That's a Sigma. Sigma males are not just different, they are. They don't yell, they don't chase, but when you cross the line, they won't just react. They'll outweight you and outmaneuver you. So if you think Sigmas are to be underestimated, think again, because once you ignite their fury, they don't just fight back, they finish the game. This video is not for the faint of heart. These are 7 chilling things Sigma males do when they finally lose their cool. Subscribe if you're ready to understand the silent power behind the lone wolf. Let's dive in. Number 1, the cold shutdown. When a Sigma gets fists, he throws silence. Let's break this down, not just dramatically, but psychologically and factually. When a Sigma male reaches his breaking point, you won't see fireworks. You'll hear nothing, no slamming doors, no raging texts. Just silence, deafening, intentional and permanent. The first dangerous thing he does? He shuts down completely. No more messages, no return calls, no explanations. He vanishes like smoke in the wind. Now, this isn't the same as emotional immaturity or running from problems, quite the opposite. Sigmas are known for their and. According to psychologist Daniel Goleman's framework of emotional intelligence, those who exhibit strong self-regulation, like Sigmas, tend to avoid impulsive actions. So when a Sigma cuts you off, it's not impulsive. It's the result of deep, quiet deliberation. This shutdown behavior isn't random. It's rooted in self-preservation. Sigmas value their peace more than attention, and when someone crosses a line repeatedly, they don't feel the need to argue. Not because they're weak, but because they're done giving access to those who misuse it. To outsiders, this might look like. But to a Sigma, it's a calculated disengagement, a silent message that says, you no longer qualify for my time. Unlike alphas who may confront with aggression, or betas who might seek resolution through appeasement, the Sigma's weapon is indifference. That's why it's so unsettling. He doesn't yell. He deletes, quietly, cleanly, and he doesn't second-guess it. Here's the scary part. While some people cool off and reconnect after a heated moment, Sigma males aren't interested in half-hearted apologies or guilt trips. Once he's emotionally checked out, the door is locked and welded shut. In a world that glorifies constant communication and emotional oversharing, the Sigma's cold silence is both powerful and terrifying. It teaches a hard lesson. Not everyone argues when they're hurt. Some just leave, and that silence is their loudest message. So if a Sigma disappears from your life, don't assume he's being dramatic. Understand, he tolerated more than he ever said, and now he's gone forever. Number 2. He turns his back with zero guilt. When a Sigma male walks away, it's not a dramatic exit filled with yelling or broken plates. It's quiet, clean, final. And that's what makes it so powerful and dangerous. Unlike most people, Sigma males don't beg for closure. They're the closure. Let's unpack this. Sigma males are lone wolves by nature. They thrive on independence, emotional self-reliance, and mental clarity. According to psychologist Carl Jung's personality archetypes, Sigma types fall somewhere outside the traditional alpha and beta hierarchy. They operate by their own internal compass, which means they're not easily manipulated or emotionally entangled. So when they sense toxicity, be it lies, manipulation, disrespect, or betrayal, they don't try to fix it. They observe, they measure, they test you. And once they confirm a pattern, they quietly begin detaching. Here's the dangerous part. Sigmas don't cling to the of someone. They value reality over fantasy. So once someone crosses a line too many times, the Sigma male hits a switch. They gave you signals, grace, and second chances. You mistook their silence for weakness, but silence was the warning. When a Sigma is silent, he's processing, deciding, planning, then he disappears, not to punish, but to protect. This behavior is rooted in psychological resilience. Research shows that emotionally intelligent people, like Sigmas, know when a connection is harming their peace. Instead of spiraling, they reset. Instead of lashing out, they retreat, and don't expect them to come back. Sigmas don't look back, because looking back is for people who still care, who still hope. A Sigma's hope ends the moment he sees you value chaos more than connection. So if you ever find yourself wondering why he ghosted you, remember, it wasn't random. It was the final act in a play you didn't realize you were starring in. Sigmas don't crave revenge, they crave peace. And once their peace is threatened, they don't explain, they exit quietly, permanently. Number 3, he channels his anger into success. Here's the twist. Sigmas don't explode, they evolve. You see, the Sigma male operates on a different frequency. He doesn't blow up, scream, or seek petty revenge. That's not his style. When he's hurt, betrayed, or angered, he doesn't reach for retaliation, he reaches for transformation. Psychologically speaking, this response is rooted in something called the ability to convert intense emotions into focused energy. Sigmas have mastered this. Instead of lashing out, they level up. When angry, a Sigma doesn't pick fights, he picks up momentum. He channels that emotional energy into something productive. Studies show that people who practice self-regulation under stress, like Sigmas often do, experience better long-term mental health and goal achievement. So instead of wallowing, he rises. He hits the gym harder, not to show off, but to sharpen his discipline. He stacks his money, because financial independence is power. He builds skills, networks silently, and upgrades every aspect of his life while the world wonders what he's plotting. That girl who cheated, she becomes the reason he sets higher standards. That friend who lied? A lesson in boundaries and self-worth. The Sigma's revenge isn't loud, it's visible, and oh, is it powerful. He doesn't send angry texts or make dramatic exits, he just vanishes and reappears later, elevated. His silence echoes louder than any outburst. It says one thing. This is classic Sigma energy, rooted in stoicism, discipline, and delayed gratification. He knows success is the best response, not for the applause, not to prove a point, but to fulfill his own vision. So while others are fueled by conflict, Sigmas are fueled by growth. He doesn't lose sleep plotting revenge. He sleeps soundly knowing he's evolving into a version of himself that outgrows the pain. And that right there is what makes him lethal, not his rage, but his rise. Number 4, he unloads the truth without a filter. Sigmas usually keep their observations to themselves. They're the silent analysts in the room, the ones who don't react immediately but take note of everything, every glance, every contradiction, every hidden motive. While others are busy talking, Sigmas are watching, calculating, studying the patterns behind human behavior like a mental chess game. But what happens when a Sigma male finally gets angry? He lets the truth fly. And it doesn't come out as rage or chaos. No shouting, no name-calling. What comes out is far more brutal. Facts, cold, hard truth, delivered with calm precision. Because by the time a Sigma reaches his breaking point, he's already gathered the evidence. And when he speaks, he doesn't just react, he exposes every fake smile you gave, every backhanded compliment, every attempt at manipulation you thought went unnoticed, laid bare like a forensic report. And that's the scary part. You see, the Sigma male's brain is wired for deep observation. Psychologists refer to this as high cognitive empathy, the ability to read social dynamics without being emotionally entangled. It's not emotional outburst. It's emotional detachment paired with intellectual clarity. That's why when he finally talks, it hits different, it cuts, because it's not just his truth, it's truth, and people aren't ready for that. They're ready for yelling, they're used to drama, but they're not prepared for someone calmly dismantling their entire facade with surgical detail, no fluff, no emotion, just exposure. That's why Sigmas are dangerous when provoked. Not because they're violent, but because they're in a world built on appearances. A Sigma's silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. And when he finally speaks, people suddenly realize just how powerful and terrifying truth can be. So next time you think a Sigma isn't paying attention, think again, he's just collecting receipts. And when the time is right, he won't burn the bridge, he'll light it with facts. Number 5, he plans his exit years in advance. Here's the freaky part. If you've wronged a Sigma male, he's not going to explode in your face. There won't be yelling, no messy drama, no back and forth arguments. In fact, he might even smile. He'll nod, say, it's all good, and carry on like nothing happened. But don't be fooled. That silence, that's the quiet before the storm. You see, Sigma males are wired differently. They're strategic, emotionally disciplined, and deeply introspective. So when they get hurt or betrayed, their first instinct isn't to lash out. It's to retreat and analyze. They'll wait, they'll observe, they'll take mental notes, catalog every detail, and calmly design their next move like a grandmaster in a chess match. While you're thinking everything is back to normal, he's already 2 steps ahead, silently building his exit plan, and then one day, without warning, he vanishes, gone from the job, gone from the relationship, gone from the group chat. No goodbyes, no closure, no explanation, just silence. Like a shadow in the night, he disappears. And he leaves no trail, no digital breadcrumbs, nothing to follow. People who've crossed him are left stunned. What happened? Why did he just cut me off? But by then it's too late. This calculated disappearing act isn't just some random behavior, it's rooted in psychology. It's a classic example of the Sigma males. Instead of investing energy in conflict, they invest it in planning their freedom. It's efficiency over emotion. Even in nature, we see parallels. Wolves, known for their Sigma-like traits, rarely retaliate instantly. They back off, assess the situation, and then strike or slip away when it suits them, not when others expect it. So if a Sigma male walks away from you without warning, chances are he already walked away from you emotionally weeks or months ago. You just didn't see the signs, and that's what makes them so unsettling, so unpredictable. Lesson here, never mistake a Sigma's silence for submission. He might be quiet, but trust me, he's not passive. He's just patient, and patience is the scariest weapon in a Sigma's arsenal. By the time you realize he's gone, he's already thriving somewhere else, and you're just part of the past he planned to escape from. Number 6, he sets a new standard that excludes you. When a Sigma male gets mad, he doesn't throw tantrums. He doesn't scream, shout, or make a scene. His fury isn't loud, it's transformative. See, most people express anger outwardly. They want others to feel their rage. But a Sigma, he takes that fire and forges a new version of himself. Anger becomes his architect. When he's hurt, betrayed, or disrespected, he doesn't waste time plotting revenge. He reinvents his boundaries. And here's the kicker. He builds a life so upgraded, so elevated, so full of purpose and clarity that the very people who once mistreated him no longer qualify to exist within it. This isn't just emotional survival, it's strategic evolution. Psychologically speaking, Sigma males fall into the introverted alpha category. They rank high in self-awareness, autonomy, and emotional intelligence. So when they're pushed to their limit, they don't spiral, they recalibrate. Boundaries are tightened, standards are raised. Their circle, it shrinks, not from bitterness, but from alignment. They start to surround themselves with people who mirror their growth, not their past wounds. And the ones who cross them, replaced. Not with spite, but with silence. Peace, focus, purpose. Think about it. Most people fight back to prove a point. A Sigma male doesn't need to prove anything. He the point. His success, his discipline, his transformation, that's the response. That's the ultimate flex. It's no wonder psychologists describe boundary reinforcement as a sign of emotional maturity. In one study from the University of California, it was shown that individuals who restructure their social environments after emotional pain often experience greater resilience, personal development, and long-term satisfaction. That's what Sigma males do instinctively. Instead of reacting emotionally, they redirect energy into upgrading their mindset, health, wealth, and vision. It's not about erasing the past. It's about evolving beyond it. They hit the gym harder, they meditate longer, they read, build, create, and elevate until the old version of themselves is unrecognizable. Their anger becomes a quiet teacher, not a chaotic destroyer. So if you've ever wondered what happens when a Sigma finally snaps, don't expect fireworks. Expect silence. Expect changes so sharp, so intentional that his presence feels like a different frequency. One that doesn't tolerate nonsense. One that demands excellence. Because for the Sigma male, it's not about revenge. It's about evolution. He doesn't seek to bring others down. He rises so high that they can't reach him anymore. That's the Sigma way. Number 7, he disappears, then returns unrecognizable. The final form of Sigma rage isn't destruction, it's rebirth. When most people get angry, they lash out, they argue, they post cryptic quotes on social media. But not the Sigma male. His reaction is different, dangerously different. He disappears, no dramatic exits, no emotional outbursts, just silence, complete radio silence. He stops answering texts, stops showing up, no updates, no stories, no status posts. He doesn't need to announce a thing because Sigma rage doesn't crave attention, it craves evolution. You see, Sigma males process betrayal and frustration with surgical precision. While others spiral into chaos, Sigmas go inward. This is a man who doesn't waste energy trying to prove a point in the moment. He steps back, assesses the damage, and uses the pain as fuel. Months pass. People start to wonder, where did he go? They might assume he's struggling, but what they don't realize is he's been in the lab, not a physical one, but a mental, spiritual, and emotional gym. He's been breaking himself down, examining his weaknesses, and rebuilding brick by brick. And then one day, he returns. No warning, no reintroduction, just presence. But he's not the man you remember, he's richer. Not just financially, though that's often part of it, but mentally and emotionally. He's stronger. His boundaries are solid, his mission is clearer, his energy is untouchable. And most striking of all, he's colder, not bitter, just detached. Detached from the old versions of himself that used to settle, that used to explain, that used to beg for understanding. That version no longer exists. And here's the part that stings. He didn't come back for revenge. He didn't come back to flex. He came back because he no longer fits where he was. What was meant to break him ended up forging him. The storm you brought, it didn't drown him, it baptized him. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth, a phenomenon where individuals come out of adversity not only healed, but enhanced. Stronger relationships, a deeper sense of purpose, personal strength, all markers of someone who used hardship as a catalyst for greatness. This is the Sigma's secret weapon. His silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. His absence isn't retreat, it's preparation. And when he reemerges, he's not seeking validation, validation. You can't reach him anymore. Not because he blocked you, but because he outgrew you. The version of himself that tolerated poor treatment, lowered his standards, or doubted his worth. That version died, and in its place rose a Sigma who's sharper in mind, clearer in purpose, and colder to the nonsense he used to entertain. This is Sigma rage at its most powerful form, not loud, not violent, but transformative. So if a Sigma male disappears, don't assume he's gone. Understand he's becoming. And when he returns, you won't even recognize the man who walked away. Because the final form of Sigma rage was never about destruction. It was always about rebirth. Sigma's anger isn't always loud, sometimes it's strategic, and that's exactly what separates you from the rest. In a world that celebrates dramatic outbursts and attention-seeking tantrums, Sigma males choose a different path, one built on control, redirection, and inner mastery. Psychology calls this the process of converting intense emotional energy like anger into productive action. Studies from the American Psychological Association show that people who regulate their anger effectively tend to experience enhanced concentration, improved memory, and stronger problem-solving skills. Translation: anger, when harnessed, becomes a superpower. Sigmas don't rage for show. They don't flip tables or shout in traffic. Instead, they take that boiling emotion and forge it into something useful. A better business plan, a new boundary, a sharper physique. That insult you threw at a Sigma, he used it to fuel his next level up. Let's look at Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes ever and a true Sigma at heart. When he was cut from his high school basketball team, he didn't complain, he didn't spiral. He trained like a machine day and night and turned rejection into domination. That wasn't just determination, that was refined, focused, Sigma-level rage. So if you're simmering right now, good, that heat has a purpose. Channel it, write down your mission, hit the gym, start that project, don't explode, evolve. Because the world doesn't need another man who loses control. It needs a Sigma who, and lets it light the path forward. If this message reminds you of who you are or who you're becoming, hit that like button, subscribe, and join this tribe of focused minds. Wolves walk alone, but they don't walk aimlessly. Stay sharp, stay disciplined, stay Sigma. He doesn't storm into rooms, he slips in, quiet, calculated, unbothered. No handshakes, no small talk, no masks. And for that, people hate him. But not for the reasons you might think. The Sigma male isn't loud, flashy, or eager to be noticed. In fact, he's the opposite. He is the embodiment of silence in a world addicted to noise. This man doesn't chase validation, and he certainly doesn't ask for permission. He walks through life like a ghost in broad daylight, seen but not truly known, and it drives people mad. Why? Because the Sigma male breaks the unspoken social contract, the one that says you must constantly prove yourself to others. He doesn't play by society's rules, not out of rebellion, but out of sheer disinterest. While others broadcast their lives online, counting likes and followers as proof of worth, the Sigma remains a mystery, a man unplugged from the algorithm. Psychologists have noted that humans are hardwired to respond to social cues. And when someone doesn't mirror back the expected behaviors, smiling on command, making small talk, showing deference, it triggers discomfort and even hostility. That's why the Sigma's quiet defiance isn't just misunderstood, it's feared. His habits, solitude, independence, emotional control shine a light on everyone else's dependency, insecurity, and performative personas. And when someone doesn't beg to be liked, it threatens those who live for approval. That's why the Sigma male isn't just disliked, he's resented. His presence is a walking contradiction to everything people have been conditioned to admire. And it exposes something deeper, that maybe we've been taught to chase the wrong things. This video isn't about surface-level charm or charisma, it's about the truth, the raw, inconvenient truth. The very habits that make Sigma males so powerful are the same ones that make others uncomfortable. Not because they're wrong, but because they force people to confront their own weaknesses. So sit still, we're going deep. Habit 1, when presence feels like rejection. The modern world is designed to hijack your attention. Every app is meticulously crafted to trigger dopamine hits, making you crave likes, swipes, and endless scrolling. Brands spend billions to make you feel incomplete without their product. Social media influencers transform personal moments into performances, choreographing authenticity for views. In the middle of this digital circus, where noise is currency and visibility is power, the Sigma male steps back. He doesn't dance for algorithms or plead for relevance. He's not interested in broadcasting his breakfast or arguing in comment sections. Instead, he observes silently, strategically. He disappears from group chats, not out of rudeness, but out of rebellion, rejecting the unspoken demand to be constantly available. He skips the party not because he's shy, but because he values substance over spectacle. And when he does walk away, it's without a dramatic exit or lingering goodbyes. That silence, it's deafening to those who need constant reassurance. His absence becomes a mirror, reflecting others' insecurities. People don't hate the Sigma because he's distant. They hate that he's immune to the system they've surrendered to. In a world addicted to validation, his indifference is revolutionary. Society tries to frame him as antisocial, broken, or cold because labeling him makes him easier to dismiss. But the truth is, he's not playing their game, he's playing his own. Research in psychology has shown that people who are less dependent on external validation tend to be more emotionally resilient and self-aware. The Sigma embodies this, functioning with an internal compass rather than a crowdsourced map. His detachment isn't apathy, it's a conscious boundary. He's not hostile, he's just free. And that freedom in a world built on conformity is terrifying, because the moment you stop needing the crowd is the moment you realize how much control they had. The Sigma male has already realized this. He's not here to be liked, he's here to be real, and that alone makes him dangerous in a society addicted to performance. Habit 2, indifference is his armor. People often misunderstand the Sigma male because he doesn't operate like the rest. His calm demeanor is mistaken for coldness, his silence for arrogance, and his emotional detachment for disrespect, but nothing could be further from the truth. Internally, the Sigma is not wrestling with the need to be liked or validated. There is no internal chaos demanding external comfort. He's not chasing the highs of applause or running from the lows of criticism. What lies beneath his still surface is a rare form of self-mastery, emotional sovereignty. Studies in psychology confirm that individuals with high emotional intelligence are less reactive and more resilient under pressure. And the Sigma embodies this to the extreme. He moves through conflict with surgical precision, addressing problems not with raised voices or flared tempers, but with calm decisions and calculated boundaries. He doesn't lash out because he doesn't need to. That kind of control, especially in high-stakes or emotionally charged situations, can be unnerving to those who are ruled by impulse and emotion. People who haven't developed that level of inner discipline often find his composure threatening, so they call it cold, they call it robotic, they call it disgusting. But what they really mean is intimidating, Because in a society where emotional reaction is currency, where drama, outrage, and vulnerability are traded like likes and retweets, his refusal to play along is seen as rebellion. He doesn't crumble when ignored. He doesn't beg for attention, and he certainly doesn't compromise his peace to soothe someone else's chaos. He isn't heartless. He simply isn't governed by emotional storms. That's a level of independence most don't understand, and yet paradoxically, it's what draws people in. There's strength in his silence, power in his restraint. In a culture saturated with oversharing and overreacting, the Sigma stands apart. He's proof that you don't have to be loud to be powerful, and you don't have to be seen to be in control. His detachment isn't rejection, it's refinement. It's the result of years spent mastering the inner world while others were distracted by the outer one. In a world addicted to emotional reactions, the Sigma's calm is not a flaw, it's a threat, and deep down they know it. Habit 3. He exposes the performers. In social settings, Sigma males do something deceptively simple, yet undeniably dangerous. They listen, they watch, they calculate. While others compete for attention, status, or validation, the Sigma remains silent, observant, and disengaged from the social rat race. This isn't passivity, it's power in its quietest form. The Sigma male doesn't need to assert dominance because he dismantles the very framework that demands it. When the loudest man in the room boasts about his achievements, the Sigma offers no applause or rivalry, only a calm, unreadable gaze. When a manipulator spins their web of control, the Sigma doesn't argue or react. He simply removes himself from the trap, exposing the manipulator's game without a word. His silence becomes unsettling because it doesn't offer the emotional feedback people crave. Psychologically, humans are wired to seek acknowledgement, to test their power against others. The Sigma denies them that satisfaction, and in doing so, he becomes a mirror, one that reflects not admiration but insecurity. This is why many find the Sigma male unnerving. He operates outside the traditional social hierarchy, where alpha males dominate and betas submit. In fact, psychologist Robert Hogan's socioanalytic theory explains that most people are driven by a need to get along and get ahead. The Sigma violates both. He doesn't strive to belong and he doesn't chase status. Yet paradoxically, his independence becomes magnetic. People can't ignore him, and that breeds resentment. His refusal to play by society's rules feels like rebellion, especially in a world obsessed with visibility and performance. His power lies in detachment. While others are busy strategizing their next move in the social chess game, the Sigma is already 3 moves ahead, or not even playing the game at all. This psychological distance allows him to observe motives, read intentions, and dismantle manipulative structures with surgical precision. He doesn't need to dominate the room to own it. His quiet presence challenges the very foundation of social power, and that in itself is threatening. People hate him not because he tries to win, but because he doesn't try at all, and still leaves a lasting impact. In a society addicted to noise, the Sigma's silence is revolutionary and dangerous. Habit 4. Mastery offends the mediocre. Most people today are addicted to distraction, and not by accident. In a world engineered for instant gratification, the average person scrolls, swipes, and refreshes their way through life, chasing fleeting hits of dopamine from social media, gossip, and superficial entertainment. It's a mental diet of junk food. And just like poor nutrition ruins the body, poor mental input sabotages growth. But the Sigma male is wired differently. He doesn't chase dopamine, he chases discipline. While others binge-watch shows or endlessly check their notifications, the Sigma is building. He's learning a new skill, refining his craft, investing in silence, and making invisible gains that compound over time. He doesn't seek validation from others. He's too focused on validating his own potential. This quiet dedication makes him both admirable and threatening. Not because he brags about his progress, he doesn't. In fact, his success is often invisible until it becomes undeniable. He simply becomes unreachable, not because he looks down on others, but because he's operating on a frequency few are willing to tune into, mentally, financially, and spiritually. And as his life begins to transform, people take notice, but not in celebration. Instead, they whisper, "He's just lucky. He's weird. He's full of himself." But deep down, Their criticisms are a defense mechanism, a way to excuse their own complacency. The Sigma's very existence is a quiet indictment of their wasted potential. He represents what they could have become had they chosen focus over distraction, discipline over indulgence, purpose over popularity. His life becomes a mirror they can't escape, reflecting the reality they've avoided. That's why they hate him, not for what he says, but for what he silently reminds them. They're choosing stagnation while he chooses growth. And in a society that rewards noise and punishes solitude, the Sigma male's refusal to conform is both rebellious and powerful. He's not addicted to distractions. He's addicted to becoming the man he was always meant to be. Habit 5, disappearing without explanation. The Sigma male doesn't make a scene when he leaves. He doesn't slam doors or send dramatic texts. He simply vanishes, without warning or explanation. To many, this behavior feels cold or dismissive, but in truth, it has nothing to do with cruelty. It's self-preservation. The Sigma is wired differently. He doesn't thrive on social validation or external reassurance. Instead, he operates from a deeply internal compass, and when he senses imbalance, manipulation, or emotional noise, his instinct is to retreat, not to hurt, not to punish, but to recharge, reassess, and protect his peace. His silence is not a declaration of war. It's an act of quiet rebellion against the chaotic pull of modern interpersonal expectations. Yet for those left behind, his exit feels like abandonment. Why? Because in a world obsessed with attention, validation, and being seen, the Sigma's withdrawal acts like a mirror. It reflects just how dependent many have become on external affirmation. Ghosting, a term often associated with immaturity or disrespect, takes on a different meaning when viewed through the Sigma lens. It's not a tactic, it's a philosophy. While others demand closure and explanations, the Sigma sees no need to explain what he didn't disrupt. His departure is not an attack, it's an alignment with authenticity. And this calm detachment, this complete indifference to dramatic farewells, hits harder than any argument. In fact, studies in psychology suggest that emotional ambiguity, such as a sudden, unexplained withdrawal, can be more psychologically distressing than overt conflict. It leaves the other person spiraling in self-doubt, not because of the Sigma's cruelty, but because of their own unhealed need for validation. The Sigma doesn't seek to sting, but the silence speaks louder than confrontation ever could. And that's what truly unsettles people, not the distance itself, but the realization that they were never as necessary to him as they thought. His world doesn't crumble without them. He doesn't beg for understanding. He just moves quietly, powerfully, and on his own terms. That is the essence of Sigma detachment. Not bitter, but deliberate. Not emotional manipulation, but energetic recalibration. And in a society addicted to noise, his silence is louder than thunder. Habit 6, speaking only when necessary. The Sigma male is allergic to small talk, not in the literal medical sense, of course, but in the way a minimalist reacts to clutter. It irritates him, bores him, and drains him. Unlike others who feel the need to fill silence with idle chatter just to avoid the discomfort of stillness, the Sigma male treats silence like a canvas, not a void. He doesn't speak to validate himself, to prove his worth, or to curry favor. He speaks when he has something to say, deliberate, calculated, and purposeful. This is not a matter of arrogance, but of authenticity. His communication is rooted in substance over style and depth over decoration. But to the average observer, his reserved demeanor can feel cold, standoffish, or even robotic. That's because we live in a culture that often equates verbal fluency with friendliness and silence with judgment. The Sigma male breaks that code entirely. Research in psychology confirms that people with introverted or highly independent temperaments, like the Sigma archetype, tend to find small talk not just tedious but cognitively taxing. It's not that they can't engage, they simply choose not to waste energy on conversations that don't move the needle. And that choice unsettles people. In a world dominated by noise, where everyone's broadcasting their thoughts and opinions 24/7, silence is often mistaken for disdain. But for the Sigma male, silence is strength. It's discipline. It's a filter that guards his energy, allowing him to invest his attention into ideas, pursuits, and people that actually matter. While others scatter their words like confetti, hoping something sticks, he treats his words like arrows, few, precise, and aimed with intent. In this sense, his quiet presence becomes a kind of rebellion against the performative noise of modern life. And paradoxically, that silence speaks louder than any sales pitch or social performance ever could. It's not that he's trying to insult anyone, he just refuses to speak unless his words carry weight. Habit 7, pursuing purpose, not popularity. He doesn't network, he aligns. In a world obsessed with constant self-promotion, handshakes, and status-driven circles, the Sigma male operates on a different frequency. He doesn't chase connections for clout. He seeks alignment of purpose, values, and vision. This is not arrogance, it's intentional living. While most people attend events, collect business cards, and trade authenticity for acceptance, the Sigma male works in silence to make himself undeniable. He doesn't shout his potential, he proves it. And this right here is what unsettles others. Society often rewards performative behavior over substance, but the Sigma's strength lies in doing the exact opposite. He isn't interested in playing the popularity game. His self-worth isn't dependent on being liked, validated, or praised. According to psychological studies, individuals with strong internal motivation, like Sigma personalities, are more likely to experience long-term fulfillment and resilience. This makes the Sigma male dangerous in the eyes of a conformist world because he doesn't need the approval of others to act. His goals are not sculpted by Instagram trends, peer pressure, or applause. He has a clear inner compass that guides his mission, often forged in solitude, hardship, and fierce independence. While others gravitate toward the crowd for safety and identity, he moves toward clarity, of thought, of purpose, of soul. Crowds can be noisy and chaotic. Clarity, on the other hand, is rare and earned. He builds while others scroll. He reflects while others react. This is not just a different habit, it's a different blueprint for life. And people don't just fail to understand it, they fear it. Why? Because it exposes their own dependency on external validation. It forces them to confront the uncomfortable truth that the loudest in the room is rarely the strongest. The Sigma male isn't antisocial, he's selectively social. He doesn't crave attention, he commands respect. And perhaps the scariest part, he does it all without asking for permission. In a world addicted to being seen, the Sigma male has mastered the art of becoming unforgettable without ever needing to be loud. Habit 8, rejecting manipulation instantly. The Sigma spots manipulation like smoke in a room, swift, subtle, and suffocating if unnoticed. Whether it's guilt-tripping disguised as concern, gaslighting masked by confusion, or flattery laced with ulterior motives, the Sigma male doesn't fall for it, not because he's cold-hearted, but because he's emotionally intelligent and mentally unshakable. You see, the Sigma operates from a place of inner clarity. He's studied human behavior intentionally or intuitively, and understands that manipulation thrives on emotional reaction. The manipulator's toolbox relies on getting a rise out of their target: confusion, defensiveness, anger, and neediness. But the Sigma offers none of these. He doesn't bite the bait, he doesn't argue to set the record straight, nor does he beg to be understood. Instead, he simply disengages. His silence is not a lack of awareness, it's a calculated move. Psychology tells us that manipulation loses its power when it is not rewarded with attention or emotion. The Sigma lives by this law. He stays calm, observes patterns, and when the signs become clear, he detaches. Manipulators hate him for this, because their power dissolves in the face of emotional neutrality. While most people are pulled into the manipulator's game, trying to explain themselves, defending their worth, or trying to fix the situation, the Sigma does the opposite. He exits, quietly, cleanly, effectively. This behavior is rooted in what some psychologists refer to as gray rocking, a technique where one becomes so emotionally unresponsive that the manipulator loses interest. But for the Sigma, this isn't a trick, it's a lifestyle. His minimal attachment to social validation gives him the freedom to walk away from toxic dynamics without second-guessing himself. He doesn't seek closure. He doesn't need to win. His win is peace. And so, while manipulators create storms, the Sigma walks in with a barometer and a parachute. He doesn't just survive manipulation, he makes it obsolete. The game ends before it even begins because he refuses to play. In a world that rewards reaction, his stillness is rebellion. In an arena where manipulators feed on emotional drama, the Sigma offers only one thing: ice-cold awareness. He's not angry. He's not bitter. He's just gone. And by the time the manipulator realizes they have no strings to pull, the Sigma is already halfway across the mental map, exploring higher ground where peace and purpose, not power plays, are the currencies of value. The Sigma male doesn't set out to be disliked. He simply lives as his most authentic self. He doesn't conform, doesn't flatter, and certainly doesn't beg for validation. In a world addicted to likes, masks, and shallow approval, his quiet defiance becomes an unspoken rebellion. Psychologically, this self-possession can trigger insecurity in others because it reflects a freedom they secretly crave but fear to pursue. People don't hate him for doing wrong, they resent him for doing what they're too afraid to do, live unfiltered. So while others judge or gossip, the Sigma watches, adapts, and evolves, alone, unnoticed, and unforgettable. He doesn't chase, he doesn't explain, he simply sets the boundary and watches what crosses it. In a hyper-connected world obsessed with attention and approval, the Sigma male is an enigma. You won't find him posting thirst traps or obsessing over replies. He operates in silence, moves with intention, and holds an internal compass that doesn't sway with trends or validation. This is precisely what makes him magnetic. Psychologically, boundaries are a form of self-respect, and the Sigma male has mastered this art. He doesn't set boundaries to manipulate, he sets them to protect his peace. Modern psychology supports that clear personal boundaries promote mental well-being, emotional independence, and healthy relationships. The Sigma male doesn't just understand this, he embodies it. When he withdraws, it's not a power play, it's a calibration of energy. He knows his value and doesn't hand it out like flyers on a street corner. This restraint, this rare blend of emotional discipline and mystery, creates a gravitational pull. Women feel it, not because he overwhelms them with attention, but because he doesn't. In an age where oversharing is the norm, his quiet control feels like an oasis. He's not cold, he's composed. He's not detached, he's deliberate. And the moment someone tries to cross a line, whether it's disrespect, manipulation, or chaos, he doesn't react with drama. He simply exits. That's power. Not the kind you flaunt, but the kind you feel. His boundaries are not walls to keep others out, but filters to let the right people in. And that subtle distinction is everything. Women don't chase Sigma males because they're emotionally unavailable. They're drawn to them because they're emotionally sovereign. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to disturb. In a noisy world, the Sigma male's silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. And once you've heard it, you never forget the sound. Boundary 1. Access is earned, not given. He doesn't respond to every call, every text, or every emotional plea for attention, and that silence, far from being a cold shoulder, speaks volumes. This isn't about arrogance or playing hard to get. It's about establishing psychological boundaries that communicate value. A Sigma male's time is guarded like a rare currency, and his energy isn't dispensed just because someone demands it. This kind of restraint sends a powerful, often subconscious message to a woman. In psychology, this ties closely with the scarcity principle, a cognitive bias where we tend to assign more value to things that are less available. When he doesn't instantly respond or react, it doesn't convey disinterest. It builds mystery and raises his perceived worth. Women instinctively pick up on this. His absence creates space for desire to grow and for curiosity to intensify. She begins to wonder what he's doing, who he's with, and why he's not instantly available like others might be. And in that wondering, attraction brews. Evolutionary psychology also plays a role here. Throughout history, individuals who exuded self-sufficiency and control have been viewed as high status, traits that signal strength, stability, and security. By not making her the center of his universe, he's subtly showing that he doesn't hurt her to feel complete. And paradoxically, that independence makes her want to be a part of his world even more. It's a dynamic that reverses the chase. Instead of begging for attention, he sets the tone, and she leans in. His presence becomes something to earn, not assume, and that shift is magnetic. In a world addicted to instant responses and constant digital noise, the Sigma male's restraint is like a breath of fresh air, cool, controlled, and unmistakably attractive. His silence is not absence, it's a boundary, and boundaries, when held with confidence, don't repel, they captivate. Boundary 2, he doesn't enter emotional chaos. Drama, manipulation, and emotional roller coasters, these are the weapons often used in the battlefield of emotional control. But the Sigma male doesn't engage. He sees them clearly. names them for what they are, and steps around them like a man walking through a minefield, careful not to trigger an explosion. Unlike most men who might take the bait and get drawn into endless debates, toxic confrontations, or gaslighting spirals, the Sigma operates on an entirely different frequency. His response is not rage, retaliation, or justification. It's absence. His boundary is not enforced through shouting or ultimatums, it's enforced through silence. This is not avoidance, it's strategic disengagement. Psychology calls this a gray rock technique, used by emotionally intelligent individuals to remain unreactive in the face of manipulation. When someone thrives on attention and chaos, the most effective weapon against them is indifference. The Sigma knows this instinctively. His silence is louder than words. It creates space for truth to echo. His absence is not a retreat, it is a statement, one that says, "Wait, I do not entertain dysfunction." For women accustomed to reactive partners, this silence is deafening. It confronts them with their own behavior. It removes the drama supply chain. And in that vacuum, the Sigma's exit stings more than any heated argument ever could. Neuroscience backs this up. When emotional stimuli are removed abruptly, the brain experiences a kind of withdrawal. It's not the closure she expected, it's the mirror she never wanted to look into. The Sigma male doesn't burn bridges. He simply crosses them quietly, with dignity, and doesn't look back. His absence becomes presence. His silence becomes a message. And in that moment, she doesn't just lose the argument, she loses access. That's what makes the Sigma's boundaries so powerful. They're not written in words, but in actions, not declared, but demonstrated, and once they're enforced, they leave no room for negotiation. Boundary 3, he does not abandon his mission. She might want more time, more commitment, more compromise. But the Sigma male operates on a different frequency, one that prioritizes purpose over pleasure and mission over momentary desire. This isn't about arrogance or emotional detachment, it's about living in alignment with one's inner compass. The Sigma male is deeply focused on his goals, whether they involve building a business, mastering a craft, or transforming his body and mind. Psychology backs this up. Studies in evolutionary biology show that women are often attracted to men with clear ambition and purpose. It signals stability, leadership, and confidence, qualities that hint at long-term survivability and success. When a man is unshakably focused, it creates a gravitational pull that doesn't just command attention, it earns respect. A Sigma doesn't ask for validation. His discipline speaks for itself. And in a world full of men eager to please, his refusal to compromise on his path sets him apart. This doesn't mean he lacks the ability to love or commit, but his boundaries are firm. He will not water himself down to fit into a relationship that doesn't respect his drive. In fact, his restraint is what makes him magnetic. Women may initially feel frustrated by his emotional distance or the way he disappears into his passions, but deep down, many admire the unwavering vision. They might not admit it openly, but it's that very discipline that separates him from the crowd. He becomes more than just a man. He becomes a force of nature. Like a mountain that doesn't move for storms, he remains rooted in purpose. And because he does not chase, he is often the one being pursued. That doesn't make him heartless, it makes him rare. In a society where people often sacrifice their dreams to maintain comfort, the Sigma male is a reminder that greatness demands solitude, focus, and sometimes even loss. His path isn't easy. It's filled with long nights, isolation, and choices others won't understand. But he knows. A man who abandons his mission for momentary affection will eventually lose both. So while she may ask for more of him, he remains committed first to the fire inside him. And ironically, it's that very commitment that draws others to his flame. Boundary 4, he refuses to be defined by her expectations. He won't become what she fantasizes. He won't act out a role. He shows up as he is, unfiltered, unapologetic. And that self-possession is intoxicating. What makes this so magnetic is the way it defies a deeply ingrained social pattern. In modern relationships, especially in the age of social media and hyper-personal branding, many people subconsciously perform. They mold themselves into idealized versions, curated for approval, validation, or admiration. But a Sigma male refuses to play that game. He doesn't twist himself into her fantasy or rewrite his personality to gain favor. His identity is not a script to be edited for someone else's expectations. Psychology refers to this as authenticity, a trait that's been linked to higher emotional intelligence, confidence, and even greater relationship satisfaction. And ironically, it's this refusal to conform that becomes so captivating. Why? Because humans are drawn to mystery and confidence. When a man doesn't seek approval, he communicates that his worth is innate, not dependent on outside affirmation. This creates a paradoxical effect. The more indifferent he is to impressing her, the more intriguing he becomes. It's what psychologists call the scarcity principle. People value what seems rare, and authenticity in today's world is rare. When she realizes she can't control the narrative, when he doesn't bend to her expectations, doesn't chase, doesn't over-explain or over-apologize, she begins to feel the gravitational pull of his grounded presence. It challenges her, maybe even frustrates her, but it also fascinates her. She may test him, try to provoke an emotional performance, or attempt to draw out reactions, but his centered calm remains. He doesn't retaliate or retreat. He simply exists with unshaken composure, like a mountain amid shifting winds, and that steadiness creates psychological safety, even in its unpredictability. She doesn't know what move he'll make next, but she knows he won't compromise who he is. This isn't arrogance, it's sovereignty. He belongs to himself first. That kind of man can't be manipulated with charm or controlled with flattery. And when a woman realizes she's dealing with someone who's not participating in the emotional economy of give to get, it disarms her. In a world obsessed with control, filters, and roles, the raw, unpolished truth of a man who refuses to pretend stands out like fire in the dark. He becomes unforgettable, not because he tried to be, but because he never tried at all. Boundary 5. He doesn't chase closure. If she pulls away, plays games, or tries to manipulate him by creating emotional distance, the Sigma male doesn't chase, complain, or fall into emotional traps. He simply watches in silence, offering no resistance to her departure. There's no pleading, no dramatic confrontation, and no desperate explanations, just a calm acceptance that radiates an unshakable self-respect. This response isn't born from indifference. It's a calculated understanding of value, boundaries, and emotional sovereignty. The Sigma male understands that love, to be genuine, must be freely given, not coerced or earned through emotional tug-of-war. And when someone begins to test those boundaries through manipulation or power games, his instinct is not to correct them, but to protect his peace. Women who are used to men chasing them when they play hard to get often find this lack of reaction jarring. They expect a pursuit, but instead, he offers them the unexpected, complete freedom to walk away. This disarming silence often becomes louder than any words could be. Psychology tells us that people often crave what they can't control, and the Sigma male's refusal to play along turns the table. In fact, this is rooted in the psychological principle of reactance, where people become more attracted to what seems unavailable or emotionally elusive. But the Sigma male isn't trying to be elusive. He simply lives by an inner code that says, if you don't value me, you don't get access to me. That kind of boundary setting is rare, especially in a world filled with validation-seeking behavior. It's not about arrogance, it's about emotional discipline and self-worth. His silence, his stillness, his willingness to let go with grace, it becomes haunting. Because long after the moment passes, she remembers it. She replays the way he didn't fight, didn't beg, and didn't plead. And that memory lingers. It challenges her idea of power in relationships. This is where many women realize he's not like the rest. He's different. He's not interested in winning someone who disrespects his energy. He doesn't fear loss, he fears self-betrayal, and when someone lives with that level of inner strength, they become unforgettable. Not because of what they said, but because of what they refuse to tolerate. Boundary 6. He keeps his world private. He doesn't share his next move. His ambitions, his routines, his internal life, it's not for everyone. He moves in silence, and that mystery is irresistible. A woman who tries to figure him out finds herself intrigued, invested, and chasing clarity she may never get. This isn't accidental, it's the natural result of a man who has mastered self-containment. In a world obsessed with broadcasting every thought, every meal, and every plan on social media, the Sigma male chooses silence. Not because he's hiding something, but because he knows that real power lies in unpredictability. Psychology calls this the appeal of the unknown. Studies have shown that uncertainty can increase attraction. When someone is hard to read, the brain fixates on trying to decode them, creating a loop of mental investment. This is why silence can often speak louder than word. For a Sigma male, silence is not passive, it's strategic. It allows him to observe, to listen, and to calculate while others reveal their hand too early. He knows that when you let people speak, they show you who they are. And when you stay quiet, they begin to project onto you, filling in the blanks with fascination, fear, or admiration. To women, this unreadable nature becomes intoxicating. They aren't handed a pre-written script of his life. Instead, they're handed a puzzle, one they feel compelled to solve. Yet no matter how close they get, the Sigma keeps something to himself. He's not emotionally unavailable. He's selectively available. His vulnerability isn't for public display, but for those rare few who earn his trust. This elevates his value, not because he plays games, but because he's not driven by validation. His focus is internal. He's working on things, building his future, refining his mind, pursuing a mission. And because he doesn't advertise it, his every move becomes more powerful, more intentional. Like a chess master planning 6 steps ahead, his quiet confidence makes others lean in. Women don't just want to know what he's doing, they want to know what he's thinking. And that's where the power lies. Mystery isn't about manipulation. It's about having something sacred within you that not everyone gets access to. That kind of man doesn't just attract attention, he commands it without even trying. Boundary 7. He demands respect, not worship. He doesn't need flattery or constant praise. Compliments don't move him, truth does. But make no mistake, he notices disrespect immediately and he has no interest in entertaining it. You won't see him argue, beg, or raise his voice. His power lies in his silence and his detachment. The moment a subtle jab is thrown, a manipulative comment is made, or a dose of passive aggression slips into the conversation, he doesn't emotionally react. He physically distances himself. This isn't avoidance, it's a deliberate recalibration. In psychology, this is often referred to as strategic withdrawal, a technique used by emotionally intelligent individuals who refuse to enable toxic behavior. Sigma males, by their very nature, understand the laws of social energy. They know that tolerating disrespect even once sets a precedent, so they draw a hard line. Respect is not negotiable. This immediate disengagement sends a silent but powerful message. It rewires the entire dynamic between him and the other person. Suddenly, the manipulator is disarmed, the game falls flat, and the balance of power shifts. This isn't about ego, it's about boundaries. Sociologists have observed that individuals who maintain strong personal boundaries are often more respected, even by those who initially try to test them. This is what makes Sigma males so different. They don't seek control over others, but they maintain complete control over themselves. That's intimidating to those who rely on emotional tactics to manipulate. He doesn't give warnings or second chances for low-key disrespect. His retreat is not a punishment, it's a statement. And when he steps back, others are forced to step up or step aside. In a world obsessed with validation and people-pleasing, his refusal to compromise self-respect is revolutionary. It teaches people without a word that access to his presence is a privilege, not a right. And that privilege can be revoked the moment someone believes respect is optional. So, if you ever wonder why he suddenly goes quiet or disappears, it's not confusion, it's clarity. He's already made a decision. Boundary 8, he will walk alone without hesitation. If the relationship starts to cost him his peace, identity, or direction, he leaves. No announcement, no meltdown, just distance. Because the Sigma male understands something most people overlook. Peace is not a luxury, it's a non-negotiable. He knows that once a relationship begins to compromise his inner stability, it's no longer love, it's emotional debt. There's no dramatic exit, no need to explain. He simply reclaims his solitude like a warrior returning to sacred ground. Psychology backs this up. Men who are secure in solitude tend to have stronger self-concepts and healthier boundaries. The Sigma thrives alone, not because he's antisocial, but because he understands the power in detachment. When most are scrambling for validation, he's refueling in silence. And this makes him dangerously grounded. While others fear being alone and attach their worth to external relationships, the Sigma turns solitude into strength. This self-reliance makes him unforgettable. People may not understand his silence, but they'll never forget how it felt when he left. That distance? It's not coldness, it's clarity. And in that clarity, the Sigma male becomes more than just a man. He becomes a symbol of what it means to never compromise your core for temporary company. He isn't antisocial, he's social. An important distinction rooted in psychology. Sigma males aren't withdrawn or aloof because they dislike people. They simply value depth over noise. In social settings, the Sigma observes before acting, analyzing human behavior like a scientist watching patterns unfold. While alpha males dominate the spotlight and beta males seek approval, the Sigma walks an independent path, thriving in solitude but never isolated. His friendships are earned, not given, and his romantic interests are built on consistency, not charm. Neurologically, this selectiveness is tied to higher sensitivity in the brain's mirror neuron system. He picks up on subtle cues, making it easy for him to spot manipulation or performative behavior. When a Sigma disappears, it's rarely drama. It's data, a measured decision to protect his peace. This discipline is magnetic. Women remember him because of his silence, his standards, his calm detachment. The Sigma male doesn't chase. He attracts by becoming the rarest presence in the room. He transforms boundaries into an energy field, drawing in those who resonate with truth and pushing away the superficial. And while his path is quiet, its impact echoes. You don't forget a Sigma. You realize too late you were in the presence of power. He didn't yell, he didn't fight, he just walked away. And that's what terrified them the most. Not the noise of confrontation, but the silence of absolute self-control. A man who disappears without a word, yet leaves an impact louder than a scream. This is the invisible presence of the Sigma male. Unlike the alpha, who commands through charisma, or the beta, who seeks approval, the Sigma operates outside the social hierarchy altogether. He doesn't need to prove himself because his identity isn't tied to external validation. He exists on his own terms, and that alone disrupts the fragile dynamics of any room he enters or exits. People feel the shift, though they may not understand it. His energy is calm but potent, like still water hiding deep currents. He listens more than he speaks, and that unnerves those who rely on noise to feel important. Sigma males aren't antisocial, they're selectively social. They observe, they analyze, they listen to silence the way others chase applause. And it's this mysterious restraint that unsettles others, not aggression, but ambiguity. In a world obsessed with broadcasting every thought and chasing constant attention, a man who simply becomes the loudest whisper in the room. Psychology studies even suggest that individuals who show emotional control, especially in high-pressure social situations, are perceived as more powerful and self-assured. The Sigma embodies this effortlessly. He's unpredictable, unreachable, and most of all, unbothered. His detachment isn't apathy, it's independence. He doesn't need them, he doesn't need anyone. And that quiet autonomy, it shakes people. Not because he's trying to dominate, but because he reminds them of their own dependence on others for identity. This isn't a story of dominance, it's a story of difference. A kind of difference that reflects back what others don't want to see. Their own insecurities. That's the true reason they fear the Sigma male. Not because of what he does, but because of what he doesn't need to do. Let's begin. Number 1, he's uncomfortably silent. Most people fear silence, not because it's empty, but because it is loud in a way that words are not. In silence, all the noise we use to distract ourselves fades, and what remains is truth. That's precisely why most people avoid it, but not the Sigma male. He thrives in silence. Unlike others who scramble to fill every pause with chatter, jokes, or nervous laughter, the Sigma rests calmly in the stillness. His presence doesn't demand attention, yet it commands it. While others interpret silence as awkward or uncomfortable, the Sigma sees it as a space where masks drop, pretenses unravel, and real identities are exposed. Scientifically, studies in psychology show that silence activates deeper brain processing, prompting introspection and emotional awareness. In the presence of a Sigma male's unwavering quiet, people unconsciously begin to hear the voices within themselves, their doubts, insecurities, and inconsistencies. This introspective discomfort isn't something they're used to, and that's why it unnerves them. When they see that he won't play their social games, won't scramble to validate them, or react to provocation, it exposes just how much they rely on others' reactions to feel in control. A Sigma's silence isn't passive, it's powerful. He watches, listens, and waits, all without revealing his hand. This forces others to reflect, often for the first time, on who they are without applause or performance. In a world obsessed with likes, noise, and instant responses, his refusal to engage in ego-driven interactions comes off as mysterious, even threatening. What's more, his calm and measured gaze makes people feel truly seen, not just the polished version they present, but the raw, unfiltered version they hide. And that is terrifying for most. Because to be seen is to be vulnerable. And in that vulnerability, people confront the truth they've long suppressed. The Sigma male doesn't have to expose them. They unravel themselves. It's not power through dominance. It's influence through presence. That silent presence, rich with psychological depth and unspoken insight, is the mirror many fear to face. Number 2, he operates with surgical detachment. The Sigma male doesn't panic. He assesses. In a world where people often react impulsively to chaos, betrayal, or emotional turmoil, the Sigma operates like a silent tactician. While others yell, flail, or spiral into panic, he watches, calculates, moves with precision. He's not heartless, he's strategic. Think of a sniper versus a foot soldier. The soldier runs into battle, reactive and exposed. The sniper waits, studies, then acts with one clean, deliberate shot. That's the Sigma's emotional approach. There's no wasted energy, no unnecessary drama, and no outbursts that cloud judgment. He knows that in emotional warfare, the one who stays calm holds the power. And that calm isn't accidental, it's trained. Studies in psychology show that people who develop high emotional intelligence, EQ, have greater control over their reactions, which leads to better decision-making and stronger leadership. The Sigma has, consciously or not, developed this trait through experience, solitude, and deep introspection. He's walked through emotional fire before and learned not to catch flame. To the average person who's still ruled by impulse or ego, this kind of composure feels eerie, even robotic. It's unsettling to witness someone who doesn't flinch when everything's falling apart. But that's because most people have never mastered their own emotional chaos. They project their internal instability onto others and feel threatened by someone who has what they lack: discipline. It's not that the Sigma doesn't feel, it's that he doesn't let feelings dictate his actions. Like a martial artist who breathes slowly in the middle of a fight, his strength lies in restraint, not aggression. And that kind of inner mastery, that ability to remain grounded in a storm, is both rare and powerful. It's why people often misread the Sigma's detachment as coldness, when in truth it's a high form of self-regulation. This isn't apathy, it's alignment. In a noisy, emotional world, the Sigma's silence roars. Number 3. He walks away with no explanation, no fight, no drama, just silence. One day he's there, calm, observant, seemingly connected. The next he's gone, vanishing like smoke before anyone realizes they were breathing it in. This sudden disappearance isn't accidental, it's deliberate. It's the classic exit of a Sigma male. Unlike other personality types who may yell, argue, or seek closure, the Sigma male disengages with surgical precision. And that silence, that's what shakes people to their core. It leaves no explanation, no apology, no breadcrumb trail to follow, just a haunting absence that echoes louder than words ever could. Psychologically, this reaction stems from a fundamental trait of the Sigma male: emotional detachment paired with high self-worth. Sigmas don't stick around where respect is lacking or their energy is drained. They observe quietly, analyze deeply, and when they recognize they are being used, underestimated, or merely tolerated, they leave. No announcement, no performance. This type of behavior isn't about cruelty, it's about clarity. According to studies on introverted personalities and self-reliant individuals, those who fall into the lone wolf or Sigma category often value peace over validation and solitude over toxic connections. What really unsettles people is what this silence reveals. Suddenly, they're forced to confront uncomfortable truths. They were never the priority. They weren't appreciated, just accommodated. The Sigma male's silent exit acts like a mirror, reflecting the indifference they failed to see while he was still around. It's not that he stops caring, it's that he never pretended to care more than he did. People start to analyze every word, every look, hoping to extract a meaning that was never promised. But nothing comes, and that nothing becomes everything. What makes this departure sting even more is that Sigmas don't look back. They're not trying to teach anyone a lesson or win them over. Their silence isn't a tactic, it's a philosophy. They believe in preserving their energy, protecting their peace, and walking away when the cost of staying becomes too high. It's not cold-heartedness, it's emotional discipline. So when a Sigma disappears, it isn't just an exit, it's a revelation. And in the emptiness he leaves behind, others are finally forced to see the space they never truly filled. Number 4, he respects you, but won't fear you. People often mistake quietness for submission. Society is conditioned to think that the loudest voice in the room holds the most power, while the silent one is merely passive or timid. But this assumption collapses when it comes to the Sigma male. His silence isn't surrender, it's surveillance, it's strategic. While others are busy performing, he's observing. The Sigma sees what most overlook, the clenched jaw behind a fake smile, the hesitation in a handshake, and the sudden drop in someone's voice when they're hiding something. His brain is wired to read between the lines, decoding body language and micro-expressions that reveal people's true intentions. According to studies in psychology, over 90% of communication is nonverbal. That's where the Sigma thrives. He doesn't need to speak to assert power, he simply understands people too well to be fooled. So when manipulation enters the room, the Sigma doesn't shout or argue, he doesn't give the manipulator the satisfaction of a reaction. Instead, he detaches, swiftly, silently, and completely. This is where his power becomes truly unnerving. The manipulator who relies on emotional leverage and drama finds themselves without a handle to grab onto. There's no emotional outburst to exploit, no weakness to play off. The Sigma offers nothing but absence, no final confrontation, no second chances, just a vanishing act that stings deeper than words ever could. This leaves manipulators in a spiral. Their greatest weapon, control, no longer works. And without that, they're powerless. This cold disconnection triggers fear, because it reveals something terrifying. The Sigma cannot be controlled. He doesn't need validation, doesn't fear solitude, and certainly doesn't rely on toxic attachments to feel worthy. That kind of detachment is rare and dangerous to those who feed on emotional chaos. It's a psychological shutdown that's deeply unsettling to manipulators because it exposes their own fragility. And the silence, that's not retreat. It's a message. So the next time someone tries to play games with a Sigma, they won't hear a warning. They'll only notice the silence and the empty space where he used to be. Number 5, he never competes for attention. Alphas roar, betas beg, Sigmas vanish, and it's that vanishing act, not loud, not dramatic, but clean and precise, that pulls more attention than any showy display. In a world obsessed with being seen, heard, and validated, the Sigma male's quiet retreat isn't weakness. It's strength in its rarest form. Unlike the alpha, who asserts dominance through control, or the beta, who seeks acceptance through submission, the Sigma doesn't engage in the social hierarchy at all. He steps outside of it. He doesn't raise his voice, he raises his standards. He walks away from anything that compromises his peace, his values, or his independence. And when he does, something strange happens. People who once ignored him start seeking his attention. Those who underestimated him try to win his approval. His absence creates a void that people feel, but can't quite explain. Psychologists call this the scarcity principle. When something or someone is less available, they're perceived as more valuable. The Sigma male embodies this principle naturally. He doesn't need to play hard to get. He's hard to get because he's already complete within himself. He doesn't perform to be liked. He exists on his terms. And ironically, that quiet detachment becomes magnetic. While others post, boast, and overexpose themselves trying to prove their worth, the Sigma stays silent, observing, refining, and evolving. This invisible power, this ability to disappear without fear, terrifies those who rely on constant validation. Because the Sigma has never chased attention, and yet attention seems to chase him. His mystery makes people curious. His silence makes them listen harder. His independence makes them question their own need to belong. And in doing nothing, he shifts everything. It's not arrogance, it's not aloofness, it's discipline, it's self-knowledge. The Sigma male moves like gravity, unseen but deeply felt. And while others exhaust themselves trying to shine, the Sigma understands that the brightest stars are the ones farthest from the noise. Number 6, he grows in the shadows. While others post every gym session, every side hustle, and every ounce of ambition on social media, the Sigma male builds in silence. He understands a fundamental truth. Real transformation doesn't need applause, it needs consistency. While the crowd seeks validation through likes and comments, he finds power in discipline, solitude, and mastery. Each day he chips away at his goals, refining skills, expanding his mindset, and developing discipline most people only talk about. You won't hear about his hustle on day one, you won't even see signs of progress for weeks or months, but then he's fluent in a new language, a task most abandon halfway. He's leading a complex project no one even knew he was preparing for. The man you overlooked is the one everyone wants to learn from. This stealth evolution isn't accidental, it's strategic. Neuroscience supports this approach. Studies show that announcing your goals prematurely can trick your brain into feeling you've already achieved them, reducing the drive to actually follow through. The Sigma male bypasses that trap. He knows that real achievement is rooted in process, not performance. He doesn't seek permission to grow, and he doesn't crave praise for doing so. This unsettles others, especially those who've spent years about change but haven't moved an inch. His evolution exposes their stagnation. While they were busy debating plans, he was executing his. That quiet commitment makes him untouchable, not because he brags, but because he becomes undeniable. People fear what they cannot control or predict, and his rise, unannounced, uninvited, and unstoppable, breaks their illusion of superiority. There's something unnerving about someone who grows beyond your expectations without ever asking for your approval, and that's the power of the Sigma male. He transforms in private, appears in public evolved, and walks away from mediocrity without looking back. His discipline is his declaration, his success is his statement, and to those still stuck in the loop of talk without action, his mere existence becomes a silent challenge: evolve or be left behind. Number 7, he's immune to shame. Call him weird, call him cold, call him anything you want. He won't flinch, because the Sigma male has already done what most people never dare to do. He has faced himself. That long, hard stare in the mirror, he didn't blink. He confronted the darkness, the flaws, the regrets, and the scars he once tried to bury. While society trains men to suppress, to hide, and to pretend, the Sigma chose solitude over performance. He embraced the discomfort of self-reflection. Psychologically speaking, this kind of radical self-acceptance is rare. According to Carl Jung, the shadow self, those unwanted traits and past mistakes, is something most people deny, projecting it onto others. But the Sigma doesn't project, he integrates. He makes peace with the parts of himself that others are still ashamed of. That's why attempts to shame him or use his past as a weapon fall flat. He's not hiding skeletons in the closet, he's danced with them. And that unnerves people, because control relies on fear. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, and fear of being alone. But the Sigma doesn't fear isolation. In fact, he thrives in it. Studies in behavioral psychology have shown that people who are comfortable with solitude tend to have stronger emotional regulation, higher self-awareness, and greater autonomy. These are not just character traits, they're superpowers in a world obsessed with conformity. So when someone tries to push him into a box, mold him, guilt-trip him, or manipulate him emotionally, it doesn't work. Why? Because you can't control a man who doesn't need your approval. That's what makes the Sigma unpredictable and intimidating. He's detached, but not because he's numb, because he's disciplined. He's cold, but only to the nonsense. Weird? Sure, if thinking for yourself is weird. He walks away from drama without announcing it. He leaves toxic environments without a breakdown. And he rises from failure without fanfare. That quiet strength, that's what scares people. He doesn't need to be loud, flashy, or constantly seen to prove his worth. And because he has nothing to hide and nothing to prove, the world can throw its worst at him. And he'll still walk forward, unshaken, unmoved, and completely free. Number 8, he leaves a legacy, not a trail. The Sigma male isn't concerned with being remembered, but ironically, that's exactly why he is. He doesn't need applause or attention, nor does he hunger for recognition or titles. Unlike those who clamor for validation, the Sigma operates in silence, like a shadow with purpose. His movements are intentional. He doesn't broadcast his plans or trumpet his success. He lets his results do the talking. When he enters a room, he doesn't dominate it with volume, but with presence, a quiet energy that unsettles the insecure and inspires the observant. And when he leaves, it's as if something intangible has shifted. People talk about him more in his absence than they did in his presence, not because he forced them to notice, but because they couldn't help. but feel him. Psychologically, this resonates with the concept of a phenomenon where those who observe more than they speak often become the most impactful. Research even shows that individuals who act with deliberate calmness and restraint are often perceived as more competent and mysterious, two traits that linger in people's minds long after they're gone. The Sigma male doesn't seek attention, but his discipline, boundaries, and ability to walk alone draw it anyway. In many ways, his detachment is his power. He can remove himself from environments that no longer serve him without bitterness, leaving behind not bitterness or drama, but curiosity, respect, and in some cases, obsession. He challenges the narrative that you have to be loud to be seen. Instead, he rewrites it with every step, showing that quiet confidence is the rarest and most magnetic force of all. That's why the Sigma is remembered, not because he demanded to be, but because his existence quietly demanded reflection. People don't just remember what he said, they remember how he made them feel, even when he said nothing at all. His impact echoes in their minds like footsteps in an empty hall, long after he's walked away. The Sigma male doesn't aim to frighten, he simply exists on his own terms. In a world that thrives on validation, applause, and endless noise, his quiet confidence becomes a disruption to the norm. He doesn't conform, chase trends, or beg for attention, and that non-conformity is what unsettles people the most. Society often rewards extroversion and compliance, but the Sigma male rejects the idea that he must play a part to be accepted. This isn't rebellion, it's authenticity. He values solitude over spectacle, depth over drama, and purpose over popularity. And because he's not trying to impress anyone, his presence is often more powerful than words. Psychologists say those who are least reactive often hold the most control, and Sigma males master this. Their silence speaks volumes. Invisibility becomes influence. So stay curious, be unseen, be unfazed, and in doing so, become unforgettable in a world that never saw you coming. He warned you with his silence. You thought he was passive until the silence turned into a storm. When a Sigma goes full savage, he doesn't raise his voice, he raises the stakes. Welcome to Brain Boosters, where noise dies and clarity speaks. The Sigma male walks through life like a shadow with weight, quiet, focused, and calculated. He's not in your face, not seeking attention, but his presence is undeniable. Unlike alpha males who dominate the room, or betas who follow the crowd, the Sigma doesn't play the game at all. He rewrites the rules. He operates on a frequency that's invisible to most, but impossible to ignore once triggered. He doesn't thrive on drama or chaos, but when pushed to his limits, he transforms into something unrecognizable, cold, precise, and unrelenting. It's not about shouting matches or emotional outbursts, it's about control of the situation, of the outcome, and most importantly, of himself. In psychological terms, Sigmas exhibit high levels of intrapersonal intelligence and emotional regulation. This allows them to assess threats, betrayals, or manipulations with stoic clarity and respond in ways that are swift, final, and often shocking. Going full savage mode doesn't mean he becomes violent. It means he enforces boundaries with surgical accuracy. He may cut off a manipulative friend without a word, dismantle toxic relationships like removing bad code from his life script, or walk away from situations most men cling to. Why? Because a Sigma male is not afraid of solitude, nor is he attached to validation. His silence is not weakness, it's observation. And when he acts, it's not for applause, it's for alignment. When the world pushes, the Sigma doesn't push back. He disappears, recalculates, and returns not to prove a point, but to prove he never needed to. This is what happens when the man who never needed the world decides to show the world why. This is what happens when a Sigma male goes full savage mode. Number 1, the world he walks in. The modern world is built on volume. Likes, views, followers, trends. The louder someone is, the more they're rewarded. In this age of constant noise, where people shout to be heard and post to be validated, the Sigma male moves in the opposite direction. He thrives in silence, not because he lacks power, but because he understands it. While society runs in circles chasing approval, the Sigma male operates from the sidelines, not out of fear or insecurity, but from a place of quiet mastery. His detachment isn't a flaw, it's a form of wisdom. In psychology, emotional detachment can be a healthy coping mechanism. It allows one to remain grounded, rational, and unaffected by the chaos of others. The Sigma doesn't avoid the world. He studies it. He sees the illusion of popularity, the shallowness of trends, the emptiness of attention-seeking. Society often mistakes his silence for submission. They assume if he isn't playing the power games, he must be powerless, but that's where they're wrong. His silence is not compliance, it's calculation. Detachment for the Sigma is not indifference, it's protection. He doesn't follow the crowd because he understands where the crowd is being led into distraction, conformity, and mediocrity. But when society pushes too far, when betrayal, disrespect, or manipulation crosses in a threshold, he doesn't react like the average man. He doesn't explode, post a rant, or seek petty revenge. He simply makes a move. Swift, cold, decisive. That's when the silent observer becomes the silent executor. He doesn't act out of emotion, he acts with intention. This trait mirrors the strategic temperament of a chess master, always several moves ahead, never revealing his plan until it's too late. He's not interested in revenge, he's interested in correction. That might mean removing people from his life, changing direction without explanation, or cutting ties with systems that no longer serve him. It's not drama, it's discipline. And discipline in its truest form is a kind of quiet strength. The Sigma male understands that sometimes the loudest message is spoken through action, not words. In a world obsessed with being seen, he chooses to be effective. While others burn themselves out trying to fit in or rise up the social ladder, the Sigma quietly builds a life on his own terms, unshaken, unnoticed, and ultimately undeniable. Number 2, the core within. The Sigma male's mind is a fortress, unyielding, impenetrable, and carved from years of solitude, silent reflection, and relentless self-discipline. He wasn't born this way. Life forged him. Every rejection didn't break him, it reinforced his inner walls. Every setback wasn't a failure, it was a sharpening stone. While others seek validation through noise, the Sigma male thrives in silence. When he goes savage, it's not a reckless outburst or emotional meltdown. It's a precise, controlled withdrawal, a cold, calculated removal of tolerance for nonsense, betrayal, or disrespect. He doesn't yell to prove his point, he exits, and when he leaves, he takes with him his energy, his loyalty, and the rare value he brought to the table. You don't get a second plea for loyalty from him. He doesn't negotiate with disloyalty. He replaces it with silence, a language that speaks louder than any confrontation. Psychologically, Sigmas often rank high in traits such as introversion, emotional independence, and strategic thinking, qualities linked to the INTJ or ISTP personality types in the Myers-Briggs system. They're not emotionally detached, but emotionally efficient. Emotion isn't a weakness in their world. It's a tool used sparingly, wisely. And when a Sigma enters savage mode, it's not vengeance, it's clarity. He strips away distractions, fake friendships, shallow drama, and everything that doesn't serve his purpose. It's minimalist masculinity at its peak. What aligns with his mission remains. What doesn't vanishes without fanfare. His coldness isn't cruelty, it's the consequence of misplaced trust. He was warm once, open, kind, even vulnerable, but some warmed their hands at his fire, only to set that same flame against him. That betrayal didn't ruin him, it refined him. Now the fire still burns, but behind stone walls and a watchful gatekeeper. Inside, he isn't bitter. He's simply done with people who only show up when they need him. Done explaining himself to those who never cared to understand. Done offering parts of himself to those who only wanted to take. The savage Sigma isn't dangerous because he's angry, he's dangerous because he's clear. And when a man becomes that clear about who he is and what he will no longer accept, he becomes unstoppable. His silence becomes a boundary, his absence becomes a message. His focus becomes lethal. This isn't about revenge, it's about evolution. Number 3, the clash of worlds. The savage Sigma male doesn't explode, he evaporates. In a world obsessed with noise, dominance, and attention, the Sigma operates differently, silently, strategically, and with unnerving calm. When he withdraws, it's not to provoke a reaction, but to protect his energy. And in that cold retreat, the entire social dynamic begins to unravel. The alpha, who thrives on challenges and chest-thumping confrontation, is left baffled by the Sigma's sheer indifference. He sees the lack of response not as neutrality, but as a challenge to his dominance. The beta, reliant on affirmation and social approval, feels invisible and unworthy. Manipulators, those who rely on emotional bait, are left exposed when the Sigma refuses to play. And women who thought emotional games gave them leverage suddenly find themselves staring into an emotional abyss. The Sigma doesn't argue, shout, or slam doors. He simply vanishes, and his silence is deafening. That disappearance isn't a tantrum, it's a boundary, a permanent one. Psychologically, this behavior ties closely to what's known as or methods often used by those who have mastered emotional regulation. Sigma males by nature are introspective and self-reliant. They don't react impulsively, they calculate. Cutting someone off isn't an act of anger, but of self-respect. He isn't punishing you, he's protecting himself. And once he decides that someone has violated his core values or disrespected his essence, there's no warning shot. He's just gone, emotionally detached, spiritually distant, mentally unreachable. This isn't a power move, it's a survival instinct. When a Sigma enters savage mode, his usual quiet strength turns impenetrable. His boundaries aren't drawn in sand, they're carved in stone. And if you try to cross them, you'll find yourself alone, facing a version of him you never saw coming. The truth is, he doesn't need to destroy anyone. He lets their own actions do the work. The Sigma male knows this. Real power isn't in dominating others, but in mastering oneself. And once he's done with you, there's no comeback story, not because he hates you, but because he loves his peace more than your presence. That's the silent savagery of a Sigma male. Number 4, the rise of the lone wolf. Savage mode isn't chaos, it's clarity. It's not about rage, revenge, or emotional retaliation. For the Sigma male, going savage doesn't mean becoming unhinged, it means becoming unstoppable. While the world expects fireworks, noise, and dramatic displays of defiance, the Sigma takes a different route. He doesn't explode, he evolves. When life throws its harshest punches, others might rant, crumble, or seek attention. But the Sigma channels that storm inward, converting every wound into fuel. He hits the gym with a vengeance, not to show off, but to sharpen his mind-body connection. He disappears into books, business strategies, and self-discipline, not for applause, but for precision. He upgrades silently because he understands something most don't. The loudest man in the room is usually the weakest. The Sigma doesn't flaunt progress, he it. Every rejection, betrayal, or setback becomes a stepping stone. He doesn't post his grind on social media. He doesn't need cheers, likes, or validation. What he becomes in private, the world eventually cannot ignore. This is the essence of savage mode, the ruthless commitment to mastery without needing recognition. Psychology supports this mindset. Studies show that intrinsic motivation, the drive that comes from within, leads to more sustained success than chasing external approval. In savage mode, the Sigma doesn't seek to destroy others, that's too easy. He aims higher, to destroy every limit placed on him by fear, society, and self-doubt. And when he breaks those chains, he gains the rarest kind of freedom. Not freedom responsibility, but freedom. He no longer needs the world's validation, affection, or permission. That is true power. It's not about vengeance, it's not about proving others wrong, it's about victory, earned in silence, sealed in solitude. That's what makes the Sigma's savage mode terrifyingly beautiful, not the chaos he causes, but the order he forges in himself. He becomes the man no one can control, no one can break, and no one can replace. And number 5, the precision of his strike. The savage Sigma doesn't throw punches, he throws outcomes. He's not interested in theatrics or emotional outbursts. Every move he makes is calculated, quiet, and precise. Like a master strategist in a chess game, already 10 steps ahead before his opponent even realizes the game has begun. The Sigma male operates on an internal code built on self-respect, independence, and clarity. When he's disrespected or betrayed, he doesn't explode, he exposes. He doesn't lash out to prove a point, he simply lets the truth unveil itself. A liar's narrative begins to unravel, a manipulator's strings snap, a fake friend's mask slips, and the Sigma watches, detached yet aware, as everything falls into place exactly as he predicted. He doesn't need a spotlight to get even. His silence is louder than any confrontation. If you missed the warning signs, that was your mistake. The first sign was silence, an uncomfortable quiet that speaks volumes. The second was distance, both emotional and physical. And the third was disappearance, his complete withdrawal from your life like you were never there. This isn't drama, it's design. Sigma males don't give second chances after the line is crossed. And when they walk away, it's not to punish you, it's to protect their peace. There's no yelling, no social media rants, and no dramatic speeches. There's only absence. And in that absence lies a powerful message. You are never indispensable. You don't get a return ticket. When a Sigma leaves, he doesn't leave scars. He leaves lessons etched into your memory, not with pain, but with impact. Psychologically, this kind of response aligns with the traits of high self-differentiation, a concept in emotional intelligence where a person can remain calm and maintain their values under pressure. The Sigma's detachment isn't cold, it's controlled. It's a sign of emotional discipline, not emotional absence. In a world that rewards loud gestures, the Sigma male's power comes from his restraint. His revenge is not loud, messy, or public, it's permanent. Because for a Sigma, the ultimate victory isn't in defeating someone, it's in walking away unaffected, leaving the other person to confront their own actions. That's what makes him dangerous, not his wrath, but his refusal to engage in anything beneath him. When he cuts ties, it's surgical, clean, final, and unforgettable. Number 6, the weapon of indifference. People expect anger. They expect shouting, slamming doors, wild arguments, and emotional explosions. That's the script they know, the chaos they crave. But what throws them off, what truly shocks and disarms them, is indifference. That cold silence, that calm stare, that complete emotional detachment. It's not weakness, it's strategy. It's the Sigma male at his most dangerous. While most people react impulsively when provoked, the Sigma operates from a place of inner stillness. His greatest act of power isn't vengeance, it's neutrality. He doesn't let other people's drama penetrate his peace. You insult him, he doesn't retaliate, he observes. You betray him, he doesn't lash out. He nods, lets go, and disappears. You try to push his buttons, hoping for a reaction, but get only stillness in return. That's what makes him savage. Psychology confirms this behavior as a sign of high emotional intelligence, the ability to self-regulate, to delay gratification, and to detach from toxic patterns is the foundation of stoic strength. The Sigma male has mastered this. He's not emotionless, he just doesn't allow emotions to dominate him. His validation doesn't come from external approval. He's self-anchored, rooted in personal values and internal goals. This is not only rare, it's threatening to those who rely on manipulation, guilt, or chaos to control others. When a Sigma doesn't engage, it strips their power away. He becomes immune to drama, toxic cycles, and emotional traps. This isn't coldness, it's clarity. In fact, neuroscientists have found that people who cultivate calm under pressure activate areas of the brain associated with focus and long-term decision-making rather than fight or flight. So when the Sigma male refuses to feed the fire, he's not suppressing emotion, he's channeling it. That's why he's untouchable. He can feel everything but chooses to act on almost nothing. This restraint isn't weakness, it's dominance. The loudest man in the room may appear powerful, but the quiet one who doesn't flinch, he owns the room. And in that silence, in that composed smile after betrayal, the Sigma male communicates something that words never could. You don't control me, you never did. Number 7, the exile becomes a throne. When a Sigma male vanishes, people often assume he's running from something. But the truth is, he's not hiding, he's ascending. Solitude is his sanctuary, his forge, where the raw material of thought is shaped into something sharper and stronger. When the world becomes too noisy with gossip, too fake with shallow validation, or too hostile with constant judgment, the Sigma doesn't retaliate. He retreats into silence. But this isn't a retreat of weakness. It's a strategic withdrawal, like a warrior sharpening his sword in the dark. Science shows that solitude isn't harmful when chosen. It enhances creativity, boosts mental clarity, and fosters emotional regulation. And Sigma males understand this instinctively. While the masses are caught in an endless scroll of distraction and dopamine hits, he's resetting his inner compass. He's reflecting on his next mission. He's redefining his goals. It could be a shift in financial strategy, a personal transformation, or a deeper spiritual alignment. His solitude becomes the launch pad for reinvention. And by the time people start to wonder where he's gone, it's too late. He's already miles ahead, mentally sharper, emotionally balanced, and often financially upgraded. Studies in behavioral psychology even suggest that intentional isolation can enhance focus and goal attainment. Traits Sigma males use to stay ahead of the curve. He doesn't need to announce his transformation. The results speak for themselves. So when a Sigma vanishes, don't be fooled into thinking he's lost. He's simply gone where few dare to go, inward. And in that silence, he's building, evolving, becoming. What looks like disappearance is actually a silent evolution, one that sets him apart not just from the noise, but from every man who's afraid of it. Number 8, the unseen legacy. The savage Sigma doesn't chase legacy, he becomes it. This isn't just a poetic idea, it's a way of life rooted in the powerful psychology of high-functioning lone wolves. Unlike traditional alpha personalities who dominate through external displays of power, or beta males who seek approval through conformity, the Sigma male carves his own path with quiet intensity. He doesn't crave validation or applause. He leaves behind no drama, no dependency, no trail of chaos, only results. In a world obsessed with noise, his silence is more deafening than any shout. While others trend, perform, or hustle for attention, the Sigma fades into the background, yet his absence leaves a void. His words, spoken with calculated intent, echo long after he's exited the scene. There's a reason this archetype resonates in culture, from Clint Eastwood's Man with No Name to Keanu Reeves' John Wick. These men don't seek fame, they become legends because they embody something eternal, mastery without ego, purpose without showmanship. Their discipline and self-sufficiency set them apart. They understand that true impact doesn't require an audience, it requires integrity. The savage Sigma has nothing left to prove. He's not playing a game of image or influence, he's playing for evolution. And when that inner switch flips, when his identity is no longer tied to external validation, that's when his real power begins. People call it cold, but he calls it clarity. Because clarity cuts deeper than emotion ever could. He sees the world without illusion, stripped of noise and distractions. That's why those who once doubted him now find themselves studying him, trying to understand how someone could walk away from everything, yet still hold the upper hand. He never needed a stage because he the message. His life becomes a mirror that reflects truth back at a world still addicted to pretense. In the end, the savage Sigma doesn't need to be remembered. He simply becomes unforgettable. So when the Sigma male goes full savage, it's not a loud declaration or a chest-thumping spectacle. It's a quiet revolution, deep within him and radiating silently outward. Unlike the alpha who charges forward with dominance, the Sigma doesn't need validation or applause. His transformation is surgical, not emotional. It's the product of long periods of observation, strategic withdrawal, and intense self-discipline. Psychologically, this shift aligns with Carl Jung's concept of the lone wolf archetype, a man who integrates both his shadow and strength without external approval. When a Sigma has nothing left to lose, he becomes dangerously focused. No more people-pleasing, no more explaining, just decisive action. And that unnerves everyone around him. Why? Because society is conditioned to fear what it can't predict. His silence, that wasn't weakness. It was sharpening. It was resilience being forged in solitude. When he finally moves, he doesn't seek to impress. He aims to evolve. He cuts ties, rewrites his path, and builds in silence. And when the world finally notices, it's too late to stop him. The savage mode of a Sigma isn't chaos. It's clarity, precision, and purpose unleashed. Stay curious, stay dangerous, stay Sigma. Most people don't see it coming. They misread the Sigma male entirely. His silence, mistaken for weakness, his love of solitude, assumed to be loneliness, his calm demeanor, seen as passive, but that's the first and often last mistake people make. Because beneath the surface of a Sigma male is a force that doesn't need to roar to be felt. Sigma males don't need to raise their voices to command attention. Their presence alone speaks volumes. They don't seek validation, approval, or dominance through aggression. Instead, they observe, calculate, and wait. And when the time comes, they act with precision. The reason Sigma males are often feared, even by alphas, is because their power is quiet, internal, and unpredictable. While others are busy posturing, Sigmas are watching, thinking, mastering their surroundings. They live by the quote, "The most dangerous man is the one who observes everything and says nothing." This isn't just poetic, it's psychologically sound. Studies in behavioral psychology reveal that individuals who display high emotional control and minimal outward reaction tend to hold more inner strength and resilience. Sigma males embody this. They can sit through storms, both internal and external, without flinching, because their power doesn't need expression, it's built in. This kind of emotional and psychological control makes people uncomfortable. It creates an unsettling mystery. What is he thinking? What is he capable of? That calm silence becomes the eye of a storm, and everyone around him feels the tension without knowing why. It's not that Sigma males are violent or aggressive, it's that if pushed, their reaction won't be messy. It'll be swift, sharp, and final. That's the real danger. Like a lone wolf, they don't bark to intimidate, they simply bite when needed. So how do Sigma males show they're dangerous? They don't. That's the whole point. You feel it, not through what they say, but in what they don't. And the world can't stop watching because deep down everyone knows. The calmest ones are often the most lethal. Point 1. They master the art of silent dominance. Sigmas don't need to flex, shout, or prove anything. That's rookie behavior. While most people rely on loudness, bravado, or social validation to establish dominance, the Sigma male operates on a completely different frequency, one of calm precision. When others bark and posture, Sigmas are quietly analyzing the room. They observe without reacting, calculate without boasting, and strike only when absolutely necessary. This deliberate detachment isn't weakness, it's power under control. It's the kind of energy that unsettles people, not because it's aggressive, but because it's unreadable. This is where the true danger of a Sigma lies, not in his words, but in his silence. Silence is often underestimated in today's noisy world, but silence in the hands of a self-aware man becomes a weapon. It creates mystery, tension, and curiosity, and people fear what they cannot predict. The average person is accustomed to loud threats and overt displays of power. But when a man stands unshaken, says nothing, yet holds unwavering eye contact, you know something deeper is going on. That's when the fear kicks in, because you're no longer dealing with someone seeking approval. You're dealing with someone who already knows who he is and what he's capable of. It's the stillness before the storm that keeps people on edge. The storm doesn't announce its arrival with noise, it builds in silence. Likewise, the Sigma's presence creates a shift in the atmosphere, not because he demands it, but because others instinctively adjust to it. It's like watching a panther in the jungle. It doesn't need to roar to command respect. It simply exists, and everything else falls into place around it. That quiet confidence is not something you can fake. It's forged in solitude, built on introspection, and sharpened through experience. Psychologically, humans are wired to react more strongly to ambiguity than to direct threat. This is known as the fear of the unknown, and Sigmas embody this principle to perfection. Their unpredictability, their refusal to conform, and their emotional self-containment make them walking enigmas. And in a world that constantly tries to categorize people, the Sigma's refusal to fit in makes him all the more intimidating, not because he tries to be, but because his silence speaks louder than anyone else's noise. Point 2, they control their emotions like a strategist. Here's a scary truth. When you can't be emotionally manipulated, you become invincible. And that's exactly the secret power Sigma males possess. In a society where reactions are currency, where outrage fuels clicks and drama drives attention, the man who refuses to be baited stands apart. Sigma males are not emotionally detached, they're emotionally disciplined. That's the difference. While most people explode under pressure or get drawn into arguments to defend their pride, Sigmas pause, observe, and calculate. They don't react, they respond. And that response is often so calm, so unexpected, that it throws manipulators off balance. Imagine this: someone tries to insult or provoke you, expecting anger or defensiveness. Instead, you give them nothing, no raised voice, no twitch of frustration, just silence or a calm nod. That's the Sigma effect. Their emotional control isn't weakness, it's power disguised as indifference. When you're no longer a puppet to someone else's emotional strings, you can't be controlled. And that terrifies people who rely on manipulation to dominate social spaces. This is why Sigmas are often labeled as cold or intimidating, but the truth is they've simply mastered a level of self-awareness that shields them from toxic entanglements. They've studied the rules of social games, the lies, the guilt trips, the gaslighting, and instead of playing along, they flip the board and walk away. That kind of unpredictability makes people nervous, because most conflicts operate on a predictable script. Poke, provoke, explode. But when the Sigma refuses to play his part, the game collapses. Psychologically, this kind of restraint is linked to high emotional intelligence. Studies show that people with strong emotional regulation are better leaders, better problem solvers, and less prone to anxiety. Sigma males aren't just lone wolves by choice. They've understood that solitude sharpens their emotional sword. While the world is busy reacting impulsively, Sigmas use that stillness to strategize. It's like being in a storm, but remaining dry because you saw the clouds coming and stepped aside before it hit. So yes, a man who doesn't lose his cool is unpredictable. And unpredictable men who can't be emotionally rattled, there's a silent power that very few men ever master, the ability to walk away without looking back. It's not just about ending a conversation or exiting a relationship, it's about reclaiming one's power by refusing to entertain what no longer serves their mission, their values, or their peace. When a man walks away from validation, attention, or even the magnetic pull of a beautiful woman who disrespects him, he performs one of the boldest power moves in the psychological playbook. He's not storming off in anger or playing mind games, he's simply choosing himself over the illusion of approval. And that right there is what sets a Sigma male apart from the rest. Unlike men who crave validation to confirm their self-worth, Sigma males operate outside the typical social hierarchy. They don't rely on others to define them. They are what psychologists would call internally validated. That means their sense of identity comes from within, not from applause, attention, or being desired. So when they sense disrespect or emotional manipulation, they don't argue, plead, or try to win anyone over. They disengage quietly and firmly, not out of weakness, but out of strength. To outsiders, this kind of detachment seems cold. How could someone just walk away from someone so beautiful, so desirable? But to the Sigma, beauty without respect is like a crown on an empty throne, attractive but meaningless. They view relationships as partnerships, not prizes. And if the energy isn't reciprocated, if dignity is compromised, they don't waste a moment explaining, they simply exit. This behavior is often mistaken for arrogance, but in truth, it's discipline. And discipline is terrifying to those who lack it, because it reflects what they secretly wish they had: self-control, boundaries, and the courage to walk alone rather than stay somewhere they're not valued. In a society that rewards people-pleasing and performance, the Sigma male's refusal to chase or beg disrupts the script. He's not interested in being the loudest, he'd rather be the realist. And his silence speaks volumes. Ultimately, when a man chooses to walk away from attention, validation, or disrespect, he's not losing anything, he's gaining everything: his dignity, his peace, his power. And in a world starving for authenticity, that's not just rare, it's legendary. Point 4, they're dangerously smart and strategic. Sigmas are thinkers, strategists of the highest order. Unlike impulsive individuals who react in the heat of the moment, Sigmas operate with a calm, calculating precision that unnerves even the most confident opponent. These are not men who rush into situations blindly. They observe, they analyze, they understand the terrain, both physical and psychological, before they make a move. What makes them truly dangerous is not how loud they are, but how quiet they can be. In that silence lies a mind constantly at work, decoding body language, dissecting motives, and predicting outcomes with unnerving accuracy. You see, Sigma males tend to have a deep interest in psychology, human behavior, and pattern recognition. This isn't just for show, it's a survival mechanism and a strategic advantage. They're the kind of men who read books on social dynamics, pay attention to micro-expressions, and notice things others miss. While most people are caught up in surface-level conversations or distracted by emotions, the Sigma is mentally 3 steps ahead, mapping out your intentions, cataloging your tells, and formulating a response you won't see coming. Think of a Sigma like a grandmaster playing chess, not just any chess game, but one where he already knows your next 5 moves. That's not fiction, that's strategy, backed by the science of predictive behavior. Studies in cognitive psychology show that the best decision makers are those who delay their responses long enough to analyze multiple variables. Sigmas do this naturally. They don't overreact because they've already seen the end game. While others guess, Sigmas calculate. While others chase, Sigmas observe from the shadows and let patterns unfold. And when it's time to move, they don't shout, they don't flinch. They strike with surgical precision. Their power lies in controlled motion, deliberate and impactful. It's why their actions hit harder than words ever could. A Sigma doesn't need validation, applause, or approval. His silence is his shield. His intellect is his weapon. And his understanding of people, that's the trap you won't even realize you walked into until it's too late. So if you ever find yourself face to face with a Sigma, don't mistake his quiet for weakness or his distance for indifference. He's not checked out. He's simply watching, learning, and waiting. Because when he finally moves, it's never by accident, it's by design. Point 5. They don't fear being alone. Loneliness is often seen as a punishment, a harsh and empty space where people feeling alone. Sigmas use it as an opportunity to sharpen their minds. Psychological studies show that solitude, when chosen rather than imposed, boosts creativity, self-awareness, and mental clarity. This is exactly why the Sigma thrives in isolation. With no one to impress and no distractions to dilute their focus, they dive deep into introspection. They examine their goals, dissect their failures, and design their next move with surgical precision. Their thoughts become weapons, honed to a razor's edge in the stillness most people run from. You see, Sigmas don't fear being alone because they don't need external validation to define their worth. Unlike alphas who lead the pack and betas who follow it, Sigmas walk alone, not out of weakness but by choice. Their independence is not just a trait, it's a lifestyle. And that's what makes them so powerful. You can't control a man who doesn't fear being disconnected from the crowd. Try to bribe him with attention. He doesn't need it. Try to manipulate him with exclusion. He prefers it. His solitude makes him immune to emotional blackmail. This is exactly what terrifies those who feed off constant approval and connection. People who rely on groupthink and collective ego can't understand how someone can thrive outside the system. To them, silence is dangerous because it represents freedom, freedom from conformity, expectation, and control. The Sigma male, with his self-contained strength and unshakable independence, becomes a threat to the status quo simply by refusing to participate in it. So while the world keeps scrolling, posting, liking, and chasing fleeting validation, the Sigma remains still, alone but never lonely, isolated but never disconnected from his purpose. And when he steps out of that solitude, he does so sharper, calmer, and more focused than ever, because for him, loneliness was never a prison, it was a forge. And in it, he has become something few truly understand, a man who doesn't need the world to know his name in order to make an impact. Point 6. They speak last, but with finality. Sigmas are a breed apart, not interested in the noise, the spotlight, or the exhausting game of one-upping others in a room full of egos. While most people rush to speak first, to dominate the conversation, to flex their intelligence, or to assert their dominance, the Sigma male watches quietly from the sidelines. He lets the chaos unfold, the heated debates, the emotional outbursts, the clash of opinions. It's all just background noise to him. He understands. Think of Sun Tzu's, where he writes, "He who knows when he can fight and when he cannot will be victorious." Sigmas live by this principle, choosing not to engage unless there's something worth engaging in. They play the long game, and when they finally speak, just once, calmly and confidently, the room listens. Not because he demanded attention, but because his words carry weight. There's real science behind this effect. Studies in communication psychology show that people who speak less but more meaningfully are often perceived as more intelligent and authoritative. It's called the less is more effect, and Sigmas use it instinctively. Their words are precise, thoughtful, often layered with wisdom that cuts through the noise. It's not showmanship, it's substance. And the result? A kind of hush that follows their voice. Not awkward silence, but the heavy silence of realization. That's when people get quiet. Don't seek to dominate. They simply embody such calm control that others naturally fall in line. It's not the roar of a lion that shakes the forest. Sometimes it's the silent stare that makes the wolves back down. Point 7. They set boundaries without apologies. You know what's truly dangerous in today's world? A man who says no and doesn't flinch. In a society where peer pressure, guilt-tripping, and social manipulation run rampant, the ability to calmly reject what doesn't serve you is a rare and formidable power. Sigma males have mastered this art. They operate with an inner compass so strong that external opinions barely shake them. When a Sigma male says no, it's not out of rebellion or ego, it's from a place of clarity. They've already weighed the cost of saying yes and chosen the path of self-respect instead. These men treat their time, energy, and values like a vault, sealed tight and only accessible to those who've earned the key. You won't catch a Sigma